What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are finally back now in the final section of Dark Dimension 4. I'm very excited to show you guys the characters that I'm bringing up, as well as their abilities and how far I've leveled them up. So starting off here, Ebony Maw has been here full circle with me since Dark Dimension 3 and I've utilized him heavily. Unfortunately with him losing usage in the game, but you know what? I've already kind of invested him in the beginning, so it's just nice that I can still utilize those resources I've already put in. But you can see here, the only ability I don't have T4, this is basic. I just didn't feel like it was necessary, but I got super lucky with the 6 red and he's almost maxed out on everything, so I'm just very glad I'm bringing him on board. His sustainability, his healing, his defense up is going to be very much appreciated. Doing damage, taking away positive buffs away from the enemies, as well as doing immense scaling the damage in terms of their health pool. It's going to be Phoenix here. You bet we're going to fully take advantage of Dark Phoenix when she's resurrected. She does immense damage for our team, and we're going to definitely utilize that to the utmost. And you can see here, similar to Ebony Maw, the basic on her is really the only thing I haven't upgraded as well. I just leveled her up to the level 4 ISO H just to conserve resources. I don't feel like the level 5 makes that much of a difference, especially on Phoenix where, you know, once she goes into Dark Phoenix mode, the ISO H don't even really apply to her. Next, to synergize with these two, actually providing a little bit of support and synergy, it is going to be Jubilee here. And with Jubilee, it's nice with her because she has a stun. Even her basic has that opportunity to actually apply blind. So although it's not guaranteed, we still have a really good chance, a 70% chance, as you can see. So that to me is better than not. And being able to kind of prevent the enemy from taking their turn is for me, any kind of much needed protection in Dark Dimension 4 is always going to be much appreciated. And we also got a nice stun that can also reduce the turn meter. Where Jubilee is going to add a lot of value is going to be in her special here, where on the kill she's actually able to spread 3 negative conditions and actually spread that out to spread that out to other enemies. So you bet we're gonna take full advantage of that. Unfortunately, it doesn't spread the stun, but you know what? So as long as it's like a blind or maybe it's a slow, we could definitely fully utilize that for sure. And then last but not least, as talked about in my preparation video, it is going to be Dr. Octopus. I like Dr. Octopus because he can provide additional support. He can summon a shocker to actually soak away and take away damage. He's also going to prevent enemies from actually being able to apply offense down against us. Not that it matters too much in Dark Dimension 4, but just having that resistance is very nice. I didn't T4 this ability because you can see he gains a lot of value in war, and to be honest, my Sinister 6 team isn't actually really built up right now, so that's the reason there. Since we're in Dark Dimension 4, to me, it's not that big of a deal, especially since their health pools are already so massive, so I just didn't see the usage of resources there being necessary. That being said, you guys, that is the 4 characters I'm planning to bring in now into the Legendary Notes. Let's dive right into the gameplay.
Now, placement-wise, you guys, you do see that I do actually have Jubilee isolated on her side there, just because she is the squishiest out of my cluster on my team here. And keep in mind as well, this is definitely, in my opinion, you know, Dark Dimension 4, Node 12 is the most hardest node in the game. Node 15 being the last node in Dark Dimension 4 is definitely the second most difficult. Just due, you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of different enemies that we face, and there will be different waves that we have to go up against. So very, very similar, in my opinion, to Node 8 of Dark Dimension 3, where, you know, as soon as you're able to finish off a wave and cluster, there's another significant army that comes. So that's the one big thing to keep in mind. You know, and for me, the biggest thing is just maintain patience at all times, right? So you're going to see here in this beginning wave here, we are up against a mixture of the Pentech along with a cluster of the Hawkeye, a Black Widow combination. And just to make things even more spicier, you know, they add in actually a Falcon as well as Star-Lord, who provides energy and blind. So I mean, from the very beginning, it would honestly surprise me if none of your allies actually fell from turn 1. So you can see right from the beginning, Falcon activating speed up, my Ebony Maw is already down. I mean, before we can even go, you know, there's quite a few of our guys already taken down. And the key thing here is, especially if you have Phoenix, being able to kick off her special or her ultimate just to do a little bit of damage, because at the beginning, what we can take from this is just to soak up damage. I call this the sacrifice attempt because, you know, this is really meant for sacrificing the characters and taking out those ultimates, so that next turn, the next attempt, we can actually make it very meaningful, especially with all of them using their ultimates already. Now with a full reset, we can finally get this party started with an actual reasonable attempt here. So as you guys can see, starting off here, we are going to focus on some high damage dealers. The one thing that was nice about doing that sacrifice round was Yellow Jacket actually using his abilities. So now we can actually take advantage to use Dr. Octopus's ultimate now to start things off. Now we have Ebony Maw's abilities because he was wiped out in the first attempt. So now we have the defense up and the offense down to give us a little bit of protection here. And then first and foremost, you guys, two notable guys we need to be mindful of is Black Widow and Falcon because they both provide speed up. And on top of that, keep in mind Hawkeye also has the blind, so same with Star-Lord. So just a lot of targets we have to be very, very mindful of. But it's nice that we have Jubilee stun as well as her blind. Now, as you can see, this is a really great position to be in because we got negative conditions on them now, and we have Falcon actually stunned. He is actually the first one I would aim to target, especially if Black Widow is invisible. Those are the two that I definitely would prioritize just because they give their team additional speed up and buffs. That being said as well, always try to keep Yellow Jacket blind as much as possible. Phoenix is going to be absolutely clutch here because her damage scales extremely well in Dark Dimension 4, as you may have already seen from the previous notes, and she's just going to be doing a lot of damage. If there's an opportunity to use Jubilee's special to actually spread negatives too, I would fully take advantage of that as well. After some back and forth here, you can see with Phoenix's ultimate, we finally wipe out Falcon actually, and as well as Black Widow. And the nice thing about taking out controller heroes such as Black Widow's that they does give us a barrier thanks to Ebony Maw's passive, so that's absolutely huge. Take advantage of this opportunity, such as using Jubilee's special there to actually spread those negatives by finishing off Hawkeye now. And with these 5 remaining, it really is about controlling damage dealers such as Yellow Jacket, especially with him being able to actually take out 1 or 2 of us, as you may have seen from that first attempt. So it's important to keep him under control, but if you can get to these last 4 or 5, yeah, you're in good hands, especially with Stature, Ant-Man being quite damaged from all those abilities. And take advantage of the fact that, Dr. Octopus has some really good sustain combined with Ebony Maw. And once Stature is taken down with these last 3 here, I'd recommend aiming for Yellow Jacket next, and really kind of take your time with this because this is a moment where we want to build up our energy here and try not to use our abilities because we want to save this, especially for the next wave. As you'll see, this is not even close to even being the hardest wave, and we need as many abilities as possible. That being said as well, I also highly recommend waiting on finishing off Ant-Man actually as the last character because by taking him down, he actually will give you the barrier in preparation for the next wave thanks to Ebony Maw's passive. Finishing him off, as you can see, barrier, and you're going to see once again another dangerous cluster here. Now it's going to be well rounded with Ebony Maw protecting their team. Then you got Taskmaster as well as Scarlet Witch. So just a very devastating combo, and the last thing you don't want is actually Thanos being able to taunt and really not allow us to focus. So you can see from the get-go, I do stun Taskmaster right from the beginning, and then this is also followed up with a Dr. Octopus ultimate to ensure that stun lasts for 2 whole turns, starting off the pace here. And as you'll see, Phoenix is going to come absolutely clutch, just the amount of damage she does, and you want to use her abilities as much as possible. Dr. Octopus is going to give you some good support, especially with him being able to summon characters such as Shocker just to be able to soak up damage. Really save that if you don't need to use it, obviously, right? And at this point, I just want to say, just try to do as much damage as you can because there's going to be some many attempts here, but I've gone through and tried to just focus on the key players such as Taskmaster and Ebony Maw, especially with Taskmaster being able to repeat his abilities and Ebony Maw also having that capability to actually provide a lot of protection. So, at this point, there's not really a strategy. I would try to blind who you can as much as possible, but you can see finally my characters actually start going down after some time here, and at this point we just try to want to chip them down as much as possible. And keep in mind this was another attempt here, but you can see I got the reborn Phoenix once again, and again we just want to use her as much as possible. I think it took 2 or 3 attempts in this initial wave here, and I cut out the footage just to save you guys a bit of time here, but you can see how hard this middle wave is, and the abilities such as Ebony Maw's ultimate here scales extremely well, perfect in time for Phoenix to actually finish off a lot of them. So I wish there was a target list here, but chances are you're going to just try to do as much damage as you can and really just try to chip at them. But I would, if I had to stress any particular characters to focus, it would be the high damage dealers such as Taskmaster and just wearing down Ebony Maw at the same time. Now, as you can see, not really what I intended because I wanted Ebony Maw down from the beginning, but just because of his healing and sustain, you can see here we're very, very close now, and you can see now we're down to 48 out of 62 enemies left. Now, starting off here, I highly would not recommend using any abilities. Just try to finish them off basic style. But you're going to see with this next wave now, it's going to be another massive wave that we got to deal with. And you'll see exactly why, why I do think this is definitely one of the hardest nodes in Dark Dimension 4. Not as hard as Node 12, obviously, but you're going to see the frustration because there's just going to be a lot of attempts here in terms of trying to get through. I definitely think it will be a lot easier if I had 5 legendaries, but having the 4 definitely makes it a little trickier because you have less overall synergy. You also don't have another character soaking up damage as well. That being said, we finally finish off Thanos here, being the last one, and you're gonna see once again another cluster of an Avengers. With Black Widow for that forefront there with the damage. We're gonna also see Human Torch, who's very dangerous. Jessica Jones is gonna be able to cleanse negative conditions now, and that's not even the worst part. It's actually Ultimus, believe it or not. He's gonna be the one that can actually one-shot a couple of our guys, so he's really gonna be the key one we want to blind or stunned. But you see, I also focus on Human Torch first because he's definitely the priority, and then followed by Ultimus. In terms of raw damage, I think Phoenix does provide the best value for these nodes, especially with her damage scaling extremely well. You can see Jessica Jones clearing all the negative conditions, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. But before we can focus on Ultimus or blinding him, we have to make sure we keep the Human Torches in check because if these guys explode with their ultimates, it can completely wipe out our team. Thanks to Ebony Maw's ultimate here, we finally take down one of the Human Torches, so that's one down, and now we're aiming for the other. Honestly speaking, and once the second one goes down, we can get a slight sigh of relief. Unfortunately, we did lose Phoenix along the way, but at least now we have less damage dealers to focus on, and Jessica Jones and Ultimus are definitely two I would recommend, and as well Black Widow if you are able to target her if she's not stealthed. So unfortunately, I do go down here once again now, you can see, but our efforts were very valuable. You can see with the progress we made by taking down 2 Human Torches, and again, just try to do as much damage as you can when you know that the end is coming, especially with half my team already down. So another attempt here, but very valuable because we were able to get some good damage dealers out of the way. Now we can resume where we started with a full team now in a very great position, especially with the Human Torches out of the way. Once again, our Phoenix does work here, and as you can see, most of them are actually quite weak now. So now I would just recommend focusing and cleaning up the board and just finishing off these waves. And it's nice because it's similar to the Node 8 in Dark Dimension 3 because each wave does almost come at you in full circles. So I mean, at least we can focus on those waves individually and clean up and then resume on the next waves. So no surprises there at least. We finally go ahead, finish off Ultimus, leaving both Jessica Jones and as well as this cyborg here as being the lone minions now. And then once again, at this point, I would highly recommend just saving your energy in preparation for, I hate to say it, you guys, once again, another difficult wave. So that's why we want to keep our energy as much as possible. So a variation of the teams we're already seeing, but you can see Taskmaster is back. This time he's got Cable and Deadpool, as well as Thanos who can soak up damage, and for sustain they do have Scarlet Witch. So similar to my earlier wave, I do highly recommend if you got a stun available to focus once again Taskmaster because he's got some really devastating damage in Dark Dimension, and as well you just don't want him blinding and slowing us down. And the perfect combination to do that is also to combo it up with Dr. Octopus's ultimate here to make sure that stun actually lasts for 2 whole turns, buying us a little bit more time. And after some time here, I'm finally able to actually take down Scarlet Witch, just getting lucky with the damage there overall and spreading that a little bit there. Next, my Phoenix continues to do an absolutely onslaught of damage here, as you can see, wiping out Taskmaster as well as Cable. So now we're looking like in a really good position, especially with these 5 being the remainder. And to be honest with you, the highest damage dealer is Deadpool. Everybody else is actually pretty mild concern. So this is a great place to be, especially for this wave. But you do see, unlike the previous waves, it does actually now spawn a cluster of Human Torch, another Noble, and as well as a Deadpool at the 35 mark. So for that reason, you guys, I highly recommend you stunning Human Torch if possible, just because, you know, similar to the previous waves, if you let him have his ultimate, he's going to be able to blow up our entire team. So that's something to be extremely mindful of. And topping that up again with Dr. Octopus' beautiful ultimate to extend negative conditions. And then combine that here once again with Phoenix's devastating damage, and this is really where I'm getting the bulk of my damage, you guys. So if you weren't planning on it, I highly recommend on bringing on Phoenix, because you can just see how much value you're really getting out of her. The fact that her damage scales will always give her a place in Dark Dimension, in my opinion. So that going forward, even for Dark Dimension 5, you bet she's definitely one of the characters I'm planning to bring on board. And at this point, once Human Torch goes down, you can pretty much take your time with these last two in preparation for the next wave here. And I honestly wish I can tell you guys that it's smooth sailing down here, but they really wanted to go all in this last node of Dark Dimension 4. So that being said, once again, now we get a mixture of previous characters we've already seen. Black Widow and Ebony Maw return. Fortunately, with this wave, there's not as much damage, so I do like that aspect. And really, we start things off with Ebony Maw's defensive capabilities, followed by Phoenix's outburst here just to do some raw damage overall. Who I recommend stunning is actually Black Widow, because she has that speed up. And unfortunately for me, you guys, this wave was actually extremely powerful, just because you're going to see that if, especially if your Phoenix goes down, their Ebony Maw gets that passive barrier. So my team actually gets completely wiped here, but I'll show you guys how fast things can change. You're going to see just in an instance here how fast my characters go down. The Ebony Maw and Dr. Octopus actually getting pummeled, and you can just see that, you know, this is why it's important to have defense up capabilities, because right there my team goes down and Ebony Maw just keeps boosting their team up. So now once again we restart now with full strength, and you know who we're going to take down. We're going to aim again for Black Widow and Ebony Maw, just because those guys had a lot of support. But fortunately now Jessica Jones in the top left corner is a lot weaker now, so we were able to focus on her quite a bit. So now at this point, with Jessica Jones actually being taken down, we can focus on just kind of cleaning up the board a little bit here, because you can see quite a few of them are actually weak now, so that's good for us. We'll go ahead, stun Ebony Maw, do a little bit of damage there. And then once again, the board is set up actually for Phoenix to wipe the board, but you can see what happened in between that was actually Deadpool and Ultimus and a Cable all spawning in between. So that is the thing to kind of keep in mind during this wave. It's definitely not a full clear one. Those three do spawn in between, so this is another thing you have to think about when you're going through this. We finally get a chance here to finish off Black Widow and getting the nice barrier for our team as well. Next, I would recommend just trying to focus and finish off Ebony Maw because of that supportive capability, but you can already see right there, that's why Ultimus is so dangerous, because you can see how he just one-shotted one of our guys. So I mean, at this point, unfortunately, another fail here, but we did make some meaningful progress, so that's really what I kind of wanted to highlight for you guys here. So please bear with me here, you guys, but as you can see, 21 out of 62 enemies left. So if anything, I just really wanted to highlight how dangerously difficult this node is. But again, in my opinion, I still think node 12 is harder. But now we can actually go ahead. Now that you can see, we're just going to restart here with the full team again, and we actually go ahead and finish off finally Thanos here on the side. And Ebony Maw is pretty darn weak as well too, so I have everything working finally for us. This is really looking like a really good attempt here. Ebony Maw finally goes down here, as you can see, and I did stun Cable because you know, to be fair, he has damage right now, and so long as we can blind Ultimus, we are in a good position to kind of mitigate that damage until the next wave. Next in my pecking order here was actually Cable, so we go ahead and finish him off. And when it's down to Deadpool and Ultimus, it's very easy to manage, because we just gotta make sure, you know, we're landing a blind on at least Ultimus and just kind of taking our time and building up energy again for the next wave. So finally, Ultimus goes down, a little bit of a lag there, my apologies. And then as well, finally finishing off Deadpool. And again, now we get another massive wave cluster here. And again, the pain just never seems to end, you guys. I'm sorry. But you can see we're up against another Human Torch. Ultimus is back. We got a Nick Fury now, actually. So this is a little different from the previous waves. And similar to my earlier waves, the golden rule is if you see Human Torch, just make sure you stun him, because he's the one that can explode on us, and we just want to make sure we can save that time as much as possible. And once again, Dr. Octopus's ultimate coming in clutch, flipping the positive, actually working on our favor, extending the stun by an extra turn, and on top of that, Phoenix's damage just absolutely crucial in this wave. Now with this wave, the wave management was really nice because we didn't lose anyone so far, and you can see we were actually able to finish off Human Torch. So in my opinion, definitely a much better wave than the other ones we've done. But keep in mind, just try to drop your guard, right? We do a lot of damage thanks to Phoenix, and again, she's able to come in clutch extremely well. And you can see how weak they are. A perfect setting for Phoenix to activate even her special or ultimate to really finish these guys off. So as long as Human Torch goes down and you're able to blind Ultimus, you're in a really good position in this wave. Ultimus ends up going down finally here, and my last four actually ends up being Nick Fury, Black Widow, Vision, as well as Thanos. So really none of them really notable for damage, so that's the good news. And you can really kind of take your time with this because you could take them all together if you wanted, but personally I would rather save the abilities if you get a chance to. And that being said, we finally finish off Thanos, you guys, leaving us now with the final wave of Dark Dimension 4 and in the final node. So I mean, this is extremely exciting, but unfortunately the bad news is there is an Emma Frost that we're up against, and you're going to see how devastating she is. We're up against Lieutenant, there's another Taskmaster, and Mordo doesn't help as well because he can heal, block, and stun. So you can see here, I do recommend actually stunning Lieutenant because he's gonna give that speed up and offense. But keep in mind too, because we're up against Emma Frost, you can see how right away she actually cleansed that. So looking back to it now, maybe the better plan of attack should have been to actually stun Emma Frost, because you can see here now, once again, you guys, just to show you a failure, we can go down really fast just because these guys are very powerful, especially if with their team having that much damage. They got cleanse, Taskmaster, if you let him go loose with his offense up, you can just see how easily it takes for them to take us down. So I mean, not a lost cause, but we were able to learn and at least be able to let them use their abilities now in preparation for the last attempt here. Now you guys, after several tries later, you're gonna see that I was able to actually bring their health down quite a bit, and this is mainly actually because of Phoenix. So starting off here, we are finally actually in the last attempt here, so I was able to capture this. But from the get-go here, you can see still 8 out of 62 enemies left, but you can see we were able to severely weaken many of them, and just in that one fell swoop thanks to Phoenix, you can see finally we take down 2. We go ahead and once again stun Lieutenant, and coming in clutch again with Ebony Maw's ultimate. You can see we cleaned up the board here immensely. So this is really the last attempt in terms of I think there was 1 or 2 attempts in between this, but unfortunately once you complete Dark Dimension 4, you're not able to actually review the attempts. That being said, here we finally go ahead now and finish off Mordo, and that only leaves Emma Frost. So I mean, if you guys recall, similar to Null 12, when it's the team against her, we definitely fair a good chance. It's really just playing the long game, being patient, and trying to apply as much damage as you can to her. And thanks again to that node as well. If you recall, by using a stun that's provided by Jubilee, we're able to really do our damage and really take our time with her and just applying as much as you can, because that's really how you're going to be able to take her down, especially since she's got that diamond armor skin, and that prevents her from taking up damage and getting negative conditions on her. So there you guys have it. That is finally, I lost track honestly the number of attempts, but that is the completion of Dark Dimension 4 on my 100% free-to-play account, you guys. So as you can see, these are all the rewards that you can potentially expect. Keep in mind too, these are random, right? But what I like to do as well, just show you guys quickly here my profile, especially I do think I'm one of the first free-to-play accounts here in terms of unlocking Dark Dimension 4, especially given the number of days logged in. So there you guys have it. The most notable prize here being Dr. Doom. And similar to my previous videos here, let me show you guys my days logged in. And if you guys recall, I did start Dark Dimension 4 at 516, so 516 days logged in from my previous videos that I can show you as reference. But 563 now, that the math, if it's correct, is about 47 total days. So it's basically a month and a half of Dark Dimension 4, and really the bulk of it was actually just building up the symbiotes and getting those alien spores. So as you can see, at the time of recording, 6.2 million. So thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate you checking out my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.